It is Thompson to Clark, and we are right smack dab in the middle of the World Baseball Classic. Team USA is playing right as we are recording, so we're going to keep an eye on the game, though. It'll probably be meaningless for us to give play-by-play reports, considering that the game will be over by the time this podcast comes out. But we're going to keep an eye on it just because we care. All right, so I guess the first thing to talk about is I wanted to update folks on how things are going, because I think by this time next week, we will already be near the championship game, right? It's the championship of the WBC is what date?
It is going to be, I was just looking at the schedule because I was looking at some stats and all that good stuff, but I'm thinking it's going to be the next round. The quarters start on Friday the 13th.
And those are one-game eliminations?
Yes. So that's this coming Friday, right? Yeah. So this coming Friday. So next time we are on, we should be in, let's see, the final is going to be on, actually the final is going to be the day that we're recording next week. So
we're recording next week on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the final. So maybe we mix that up a little bit. We'll see. We'll figure that out.
Maybe it becomes do you know what time the final is going to be on?
5 p.m. Pacific.
Huh.
So
I wonder if we could go after, though. That kind of messes with our schedules a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll be fun though. All right. And so then what I wanted to do is I wanted to give people an update on how the pools are doing, because you would think, how many years has the internet been around for us now?
Oh God, 30, right?
Yeah, like you would think this information would be a little bit easier to figure out.
Yeah.
So I did find some information here, though. Okay, so this comes from the MLB.com website. So I wanted to go pool by pool and give the latest information, though, like I said, there are games going on as we are talking right now. So Pool A, nobody is advanced yet.
Right.
Though Puerto Rico, Cuba, and Canada is still alive. 2 out of those 3 will play, and I think Cuba and Puerto Rico are playing as we record.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. So I've got the Mexico USA game on, but that's a good call. I should probably 2-screen this, Garrett.
Well, I think what happens is more than likely the winner of Puerto Rico and Cuba clearly is going to go on to the quarters, but I think probably has the inside chance to also be the first team,
because the number one tiebreaker is head-to-head, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that means they will probably clinch the top seed.
Yeah.
But Canada is still hanging in there. Canada then has to play Puerto Rico on Tuesday, so that's going to be a tough game. Okay, in Pool B, that is where the Team USA exists, and they are off to a 2-0 start, trying to go 3-0, playing Mexico as we speak. Mexico is also 2-0, and didn't they 15-run Brazil or something the other day?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And then Italy is also 2-0. So that makes things pretty interesting, and it almost makes this Mexico game kind of must win for Team USA. They play Italy on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So what that means is that Brazil and Great Britain just got beat by everybody. So
yeah, that was poor Brazil. I mean, they do have some good players, and they did put up a battle in a couple of the games, but yeah, 0-4, gets you a ride home. But at least they got through their qualifying, made it into the pool. Tough draw. I mean, Great Britain is no slouch either. They had a lead on the United States for the first few innings as well.
Yeah.
And they're definitely
until Team USA just put it on them.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it goes. I mean, with the United States team, kind of start to get going. It's a close game early, but then there's just too much firepower. There's too much in the bullpen. And that's the key too, is a lot of these countries just don't have the bullpen. They have, I mean, United States drew what, 9 walks or something in the first game against Brazil. So something like that, that's just going to get you sunk. If you don't have the bullpen and you don't have guys with control and they're coming in and not throwing strikes, that's going to be a big issue, especially if you've got hitters like Kyle Schwarber at the plate who you make a mistake to him and he's going to crush it.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to extend his bat. He just drop his hands.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, that's just, yeah. It's amazing. And when you look at the lineup, everybody goes, oh, the United States have an all-star team.
Yeah.
They do. But when you look at the lineup, that is not the best of the best at each position. The United States could have drawn even better. I mean, when you're looking at Buxton is a great player. I'm not doubting him, and he's an all-star as well. But there are better center fielders that you could have in this on this USA team. But hey, it's still, you're fielding who you got, and they've got a team out there that's just crushing competition right now. But then you've got to deal with the Dominican Republic, and then you got to deal with Japan, which those are the pools you're about to get to.
Yeah. So Pool C, Japan clinched the top seed. Korea is the second seed, which is pretty interesting because Korea also had 2 losses, but it was a 3-way tie over Chinese Taipei and Australia. Korea's win over Australia earlier today is what actually got them into the second spot in Pool C. And Japan is also a juggernaut, like we talked about, but they actually struggled against some of these teams, struggled to the point of where you're like, oh, this game is actually close.
Right.
Versus, I thought Japan was going to, just jump all over some of these teams, but those games were pretty competitive. And, Korea gave them a little bit of a scare, as much as you can. But, when you have Ohtani like hitting grand slams and such or whatever, like
that's just ridiculous. First game of the whole thing and he hits a grand slam. You're like, please stop it.
Okay, in Pool D, we have the Dominican Republic. They clinched a quarterfinals berth by beating Israel Monday, and they can clinch the top seed with a win against Venezuela on Wednesday. Venezuela also clinched a quarterfinals berth based on DR's win, and they can clinch the top seed by beating DR on Wednesday.
Yeah, and they're playing. I don't know if you're playing right now.
They are playing Nicaragua, I believe. Is it Nicaragua?
Yeah. So they have to win that game and then beat DR. That should be an exciting game.
So what was pretty cool, I don't know if you saw any of the Dominican Republic stuff, but man, the home runs and the celebrations and the jumping all around, like that stuff was really fun. Like, if it was, Matt Williams on the other side, he wouldn't have been too happy about some of that.
We can officially say at this point, the game has passed him by.
Yeah. Junior Caminero but basically after he got past first base, it was how many hop steps, cheers, fist pumps, flexes can I do before I get to home plate? That dude, I know he had a big year last year, but oh my gosh, sure. He may have a giant year this year.
Oh yeah.
Brian and JJ's buddy, he wanted to put together a dynasty league. And so the only experience I have with something like that in baseball is the league that I've been playing in with you since, gosh, when did that league start?
That league started in 1998, but I think you joined probably around 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere in there.
So yeah. We've been playing that league for all these years, and we get to keep a few guys.
Yeah,
this league we're drafting in it right now. I think you keep everybody. Like you can
you do, yeah.
You can drop 5 players at the end of the year just so that you can draft new players. But It's incredible because like I'm drafting certain guys and I'm like, wait a second, how long is this guy gonna actually play for the rest of his career? Like, what's going on
So
here?
you're not drafting any 35-year-olds?
Well, so here's what happened. So the Royals, they have this young catcher, Carter Jensen, and I think the idea is that Salvador Perez is still going to start, but Jensen will play a decent amount because they also do it like Salvador Perez has played so many games his career, and so they want to give him a break. And so I drafted Carter way earlier, even though more than likely Perez's stats are going to be better this year. But it's just the idea that I'm going to have Jensen forever. And but then I drafted Perez later in the draft as his backup, so I can just have both guys to see, because I'm just trying to test what this thing is going to be. But going back to like Caminero, it's just like, have this guy for 10 years. Jeez,
That's what I like about our league, because you can keep 4 players, but you can't keep them more than 2 consecutive years in a row. So it kind of gives you a chance to like, so I had Ellie De La Cruz. I think I picked him up early in his first season or when he came up. So you can have him for that year, and then you can keep him for 2 more years after. So if you draft a guy in our league, that's not your keeper until the next 2 years if you want him.
Mm-hmm.
So it also kind of gives you a chance to like, so I have to put Ellie De La Cruz back. So now somebody else gets a chance unless he falls to me in the draft and I draft him. Then I get him, I get to draft him and 2 more years. So I could have him for 6 years. So it's you can kind of work it as a dynasty.
So then, as we'll get this weekend, we'll actually get to the quarterfinals, which will be team 1 in one of the pools playing team 2, and then you go like that across the board. And yeah, it's going to be pretty good because, the one thing we were talking about is Team Puerto Rico, they don't even have their full squad because of all those insurance issues. And yet they're still playing pretty good baseball. And like you mentioned, like with some of the teams, you're like, oh my gosh, like there's some really good players on this team. And yet, because they don't have the depth of some of these other teams, then, that they're not as good. You had texted us, Stuart Fairchild, former Giant. That dude hit 2 bombs.
I know. Well, that's the thing, is it's based on the competition. Like, who are you playing against? Are you playing against, a team from like Italy with a pitcher who's never sniffed the minors, but he's a big deal in the Italian leagues? Yeah, I mean, and then you played in the majors and you played in AA and AAA and you faced some of the best of the best. And then you go up against that guy and you're dialed in. I mean, look at Luis Arráez hit 2 home runs in a game.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to hit 2 home runs this season for us. So that's the thing.
Yeah. The kind of the cool thing is, the thing about it is like, sometimes I forget that you can just pretty much throw on the TV and there's going to be baseball on.
Yeah,
so I'm like kind of
on right now. Yeah.
I'm working and I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then I just like, oh my gosh, I got to turn on the TV to kind of just keep the noise in the background of the baseball games going on. And I wanted to look at the Giants players who are across the board. Logan Webb, obviously, I think first pitch of the game in the first game, he gave up a jack, but settled down. 4 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. So he looked like the way that he pitched, it was like we might as well start the season tomorrow. Like he can go 7, he's just like a consistency meter for like the entire team. Like the Giants, their best player, pitchers versus players, we always have this argument, but kind of their leader, and you don't see too many starting pitchers as kind of like the leader of your ball club. Maybe you want your shortstop or your center fielder to be the team leader or your catcher like Buster was, but he's kind of the guy, and he just goes out there and he's like, spring training, WBC, I'm just going to deal like right out of the gate. So he was awesome. And then you have, like you mentioned, Arráez, and who is playing right now. So these stats may not be completely up to date, but I'm taking this from Grant Brisby's article from this morning. Arráez 5 for 8, 2 doubles, 2 jacks, 7 RBI. And like, when you think of him hitting, like you see certain strokes and you're like, okay, that's like a bloop shot because he hit it where the defense wasn't, and like he didn't
Right.
really swing that hard. And there's a couple swings in there where you're like, this dude's trying to go yard. And he just flipped that ball out into right field over the fence. And it was pretty impressive. And I I am a little bit of a pessimist when it comes to some of the players that you bring on. Like, we'll talk about this weekend or at this week more than likely, but the 49ers picked up Mike Evans. And I look at his age and I'm like, oh man, 32 years old. He only played 8 games last year. The Niners have so many issues with injuries. Is this the guy? But then you look over the course of his career and you're like, well, if he can actually replicate one of his previous years before last year, like it's a really good deal. And so when we talked about Arráez, and I was like, oh, we'll see how's he going to fit in the offense. But as we've learned a little bit more about him, and as how can you not be in love with him raking the ball in WBC? You're like,
Yeah.
okay, if he's not going to be this hot, but he does things that hitters on their team do not do, and I think that's going to carry over into the season. And hopefully it'll rub off on some of these guys, and they can see like, oh man, rather than swinging out of my ass on this swing, maybe all I have to do is make solid contact and actually get a hit here.
Well, and that's a good point too, because when you talk about Mike Evans and then you talk about the Rams picking up Devontae Adams last year, right? Those are known coaching staffs taking these guys on. So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they're going to squeeze something out of these guys. So I'm not. I mean, as a Rams fan, I see Mike Evans going to the Niners, and I'm like, well, that's a little worrisome for
Yeah.
us because Shanahan's going to do something with him. He's
Yeah.
gonna get him involved, and he's going to make him probably a better player, even at this age. Now, Arráez coming to the Giants, we don't know yet. That's the whole thing with this coaching staff is we aren't sure what this coaching staff can do. Now, when relief pitchers and starting pitchers would come to the Giants back in the day in the Gabe Kapler era, we knew, oh, okay, the pitching staff is going to be able to do something with these guys. We have a track record now. We've seen what they can do. They can take a Gossman, they can take all of these guys and kind of flip them around a little bit. DeSclafani, Wood up to no good. They can make those guys, turn into something. We don't know yet with this coaching staff. And so that's kind of the thing with Arráez. Those 2 home runs, him raking in Venezuela, was that being with Mentz, our new hitting coach from Toronto, just a little bit? Is that rubbing off on him? I don't know yet. So we're going to find out as the season goes along. So it's going to be exciting because then after a couple of seasons, we're going to say, that's a hitter who we could tweak a little bit. And instead of a 290 guy with 20 home runs, maybe he's a 310 guy with 30 home runs because we can do that with hitters. We've seen it. So that's going to be interesting to see as we go along.
Jose Buto, 2 innings for Team Venezuela, 1 strikeout. Harrison Bader, Team Israel, 2 for 9 with a jack and 2 RBI. Jung-Hoo Lee, 4 for 13, 2 runs, RBI, walk. And he made a great diving catch in was it today or yesterday's game, and to help them win a ball game. And there was an AB where if you ever watch like tennis players where they can swing a racket and make it look like they're like trying to smoke a ball past somebody, but then it actually hits like top spin or something.
Yes.
Like Jung-Hoo Lee put the reverse top spin on one. Like he took the hardest swing and he just like with his hands lofted it over the third baseman. And I was like, man, how do you do that with a baseball bat?
Yeah.
But he looks like he's having a blast. And he looks like the way that he plays for Team Korea is kind of the mad chaos that I would hope that he could bring to this team. Like just like the energy and the hair flying around, and he doesn't dive for a ball and it's like this graceful thing. Like he dives and it's like aggressive and violent and things flying all over. I want to see that with the Giants.
Yeah.
Like, let's like,
But do you? Because I get worried when I see that.
well, okay, yeah, there is a worry risk, but a risk of injury.
Yeah.
But I want him to take on this identity of like, dude, you're in the big leagues. Like, you don't. It doesn't matter what these teams think of you or these whatever. Like, go out and be Team Korea Jung-Hoo Lee, because that version of Jung-Hoo Lee, especially with the manager that we have, can you imagine?
And I think he's gonna. Like? I think he's gonna preach that. And then you look at a guy like Bader, who's built for violence. I mean, that guy is like built to go out and dive and tumble. So I think maybe some of that is going to rub off on Jung-Hoo Lee too. He's going to see all of that. And we've seen Elliot Ramos do the same. Again, all of our starting outfielders are in the WBC right now, which is crazy. It's fun to see, but it's a little bit scary because you're like, okay, you're our starting outfielders. We might have a defense this year in the outfield, so let's take it easy a little bit. But I get it. I do want to see a little bit, and Jung-Hoo Lee is going to have to be aggressive in right field. He watched Yaz play for a couple of seasons, so he's going to have to be that type of guy. Yaz was pretty aggressive out in right field, making plays. Especially the one that comes to mind is the one where he flew into the fence, flew into the netting, I should say.
Yeah, I remember where I was when I saw that play.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. So, we're definitely going to need to see more of that, having the worst analytical defense in the outfield last season.
So, for the guys who are struggling a little bit, Elliot Ramos, like you mentioned, for Team Puerto Rico, he is one of our starting outfielders who's in WBC. He's 0 for 7. 3 strikeouts. He hasn't really put it together yet. And poor Tristan Beck, game 1, comes in with runners on and immediately gives up a jack. I was like, oh man,
that's rough.
That poor dude. But it is just really cool to see that these guys are that they're just out there. Like it's not like it's sort of like a global all-star game in a sense. But it does tell you that, the Giants do have talent, and they have guys who are playing across all these different teams. They have a global baseball club. And while, Matt Chapman, if Team USA wasn't so stacked and maybe they were like, hey, we want a late inning defender, he probably would be on that team too, but they just really don't need him. He was on, I think last time they played, he was on that team. So lots of really cool stuff. And I'm glad, I did see Camilo out there. Did you see Camilo out there?
I didn't see him yet. I haven't seen any of his highlights, or were they lowlights? I don't know yet because I haven't seen. But
the highlights that I saw, it was in a Manny Machado video that MLB wanted to cut up, which was like Manny Machado 2 great plays or something. But Camilo was pitching in one of those games, so I got to see him, and I didn't know it was him until I saw the delivery, and I was like, wait a second. Yeah. I noticed that guy. I know who that guy is.
Till you saw how relaxed he was.
Yeah. He was
like,
relaxed.
Why isn't that guy amped up?
Balls coming from like half below his ear with movement.
I hope he has a good season, and I can say that because he's in the American League and it doesn't bother us. But
well, I mean, we may see him the first game of the season.
That's true. And we have seen early in the season when he's been in those situations, high pressure situations early in the season, it's kind of been all over the place.
Yeah.
I remember
his delivery. It seems like it may take a little while for him to get fluid.
Yeah. We opened against the Yankees. It was a few seasons ago. Right. And he was rough to watch, man, on the mound because it was the first year of the pitch clock.
Wait, was that the game where didn't Luciano start at shortstop in that game?
No, because this was like the first game of the season. It was oh God, what's his name started at short? Luciano was supposed to be our starting shortstop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Nick Ahmed.
There you go.
Yeah, Nick Ahmed. So he was our starting shortstop, but Camilo came in and he was just lost because he had the pitch clock and he was slow on his delivery anyways. And we thought, oh, well, he got used to it in spring. He didn't get used to it in spring and it was kind of a mess. So it'd be interesting because if he comes in a save situation, we're jumping way ahead, but if he comes into a save situation, it's opening night, it's Netflix, it's the only game, and it's in San Francisco.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think the fans are going to be too kind with him if he starts, walking. If he walks the first batter, I think the fans are going to be on him, and it's going to be a little bit nuts.
That is not something I thought about, just with how, and not that opening day is necessarily high pressured, because the manager should be like, dude, we got 161 more of these things. It's not that big of a deal, but they are eventizing this game specifically
Yes.
on Netflix, so there's probably some added
Well,
pressure.
and you don't want, if you're Vitello, you don't want to start out your first game in San Francisco on opening night with a loss. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be pulling every string to get that W, right? And win that series, because they play Wednesday night. They don't play Thursday, but then they play Friday and Saturday night is the Saturday night Fox game.
Mhm.
So they've got two marquee games of their first three matchups, and he's in the spotlight as the new manager who came from college, and nobody's ever done that before. So
Yeah.
he's going to be dying to get those wins, man.
Now you just made me think of something, though, because if Camilo might be a little overwhelmed, what does that say about Walker?
After reading the article today in The Athletic by Baggerly, great article, awesome quotes by Sergio Romo talking about kind of the same situation. They were drafted late. They throw the same type of slider.
And Walker probably throws about 7 or 8 miles per hour harder than Romo did.
Yeah, I think almost maybe even 10. I mean, it's quite possible, but I have confidence that, yeah, you're gonna see some yips. He's a closer. You're gonna get that, but if he can turn it around and learn from that, he seems to be in a good headspace. So that's going to be interesting to watch. I think Walker's going to be in a better spot because, again, Walker's at home in front of his fans. New manager, new pitching staff, new pitching coaching staff. So yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Ooh, there's a play at the plate. Who was running? That guy was one of the slowest runners I've ever seen. I think.
Wait, is Kirk on Team Mexico?
Yeah, I don't know what was happening there. I mean, that was very much a Wilmer Flores type of round around third base for USA. Oh, yikes. Anyways.
Was Ruff running?
Mm-hmm.
Ruff was on the move?
Yeah, whoever that was got gunned at home plate.
By the way, I forgot to mention at the top of this, if all went correctly, we changed our podcast intro music for the first time in I don't know how long. I don't know how long we've had that introduction on the podcast.
5 years, right? 5 years we've been doing this.
So Brad put together a little arrangement for the intro music. So we've changed it up, and hopefully you enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's an original piece. I toiled on it. I worked hard. I didn't play any of the instruments. It's all digital. One of these days, I'm going to learn how to play like an actual. I can play the ukulele, and I used to be able to play guitar and clarinet. But one of these days,
you and Kruko, man, you guys should jam.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, he's just up the hill. He's like 5 miles away from here. So yeah.
All right, let's. We don't have too much to talk about today, but the one thing we wanted to end on was just thoughts. I mean, because the Giants are, just like last year, they're kind of on fire in the Cactus League, but it's really more about these decisions that they're going to have to make on guys. And I know, if you're Vitello, your first time, and you're looking at all these spots, you're like, oh man, I'm sure he's got his thoughts on what he wants to do already, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to say that stuff now because it will disincentivize some of the guys who are playing really well. But you got somebody like Brennan, who you were really high on coming into the spring training season, and he's playing really well. And if you want that left-handed fourth outfielder, that's your guy.
Right.
But then you got Matos. If you want that fourth outfielder to be a right-handed hitter, you probably don't want it, but if you don't put him on the team, then you lose him possibly. Encarnacion's fate is probably tied to whether or not the Giants keep Bryce Eldridge on the club. And I can't say it's like a decision has been made. It just looks likelier that he's going to start in AAA than on the big club. And, even Kruko, I think Kruko, who did he talk to? He talked to Bruce Jenkins or something. And he was like, whatever you do with him, he's got to play every day. So if he does go to AAA, it's because they have to play him every day. He'll play first base every day. He'll get the reps. And then you'll probably see him soon thereafter, as long as he hits. If he comes up to the big league club right now, I don't know that he plays every day, especially against lefties. They may, that you sort of you may have to sit him against lefties or some of the harder lefties specifically, because you got to win ball games up in the big leagues. So that'll be interesting. And then how do you pronounce Victor's last name? Because I think he's making a name for himself.
Barracoto.
Yeah, he's hitting the ball really well, and Washington's enjoying his slickness with his defense. So
here's the thing about Eldridge that I keep going back and forth on in my head, because I do hear that a lot, that if he does stay with the club, he's going to have to play every day. At some point, I think he is going to have to play every day against lefties, and he hit a rocket off of a lefty the other day. Was it a triple? I think he hit a left-handed triple off of a lefty, just ripped it 111 miles an hour or so. The problem right now is you've got Devers. So whenever he does play every day, it is going to have to be against lefties. Is that this season? Is that next season? The kid is only 21 years old. The power is going to get better and better as he gets older. Command of the strike zone is going to get better and better as he gets older. He is he's struck out 10 times in 25 at bats in the spring. That's a lot of strikeouts. You're nearing 50%, right? It's a 40 something percent. So that's the tough thing. As a fan, throw him on the club and let's see him at first base and let's see him just crush the ball. As a realist and as a general manager, give him more time in AAA. And so you're right. I think it's going to go that way. I think Vitello said something along the lines, when he was asked that question, he said something along the lines of, let's see how the next couple of weeks go. We don't know where he's going to be. But let's see how the next couple of weeks go. And I think what happens is, and his slugging percentage is over 900 right now as well, but with all those strikeouts. In the next couple of weeks, you got about 2 weeks left of spring training. In the next couple of weeks, if he tears the cover off the ball and all of a sudden stops striking out, which I don't think that's going to happen, he's going to force their hand. They're going to have to keep him on the club and at least start him there, and then they can send him down if they have to. And from all accounts that I've heard, that's not going to hurt his psyche. That's not going to hurt him in the long run, because he's the type of kid who can handle it. But I think at this point, they're kind of just sitting back and saying, make us make the decision to keep you up here. And as of right now, you're going to be going to AAA, but make us change our mind.
So the pitching situation is kind of interesting, because they recently, just today, actually, they re-signed Lucchesi on a minor league deal. And we both were like, wow, like he's back. And the reason has to do more with injuries than anything else. Reaver, or is it Reaver or Raver San Martin? I don't know the first name. He is going to be out a couple of months with a hip flexor injury. And then Eric Miller is also not quite ready to come back. He's got lower back stuff. And Sam Hentges has a shoulder and a knee thing. And so Matt Gage is the only left-handed option right now on the 40-man. So that's the reason for Lucchesi joining the club. So that was kind of interesting. And then, just it's like spring training is supposed to be the time for these guys to be all healthy, and it's kind of sucks to see them not healthy right now, but that's kind of the breaks. And, not everybody has more than one or two left-handers. So that is also part of the deal.
Yeah, I think what's hurting right now too is the Giants. We thought they had a lot of starting pitching depth. That Wisenhunt has an ERA of over 14 in the spring. Blade Tidwell, he's got an ERA of over 11. So those are kind of hurting the Giants right now. Birdsong is up over 54. He's 1 1/3 inning so far. He's given up 7 hits and 8 runs. Only struck out 1 and walked 3. So a lot of work still needing to be done with the young guys. The bullpen, the starting pitching, everything is just kind of, hurting at the moment. So yeah, to get a guy like Lucchesi, who's been there, he's pitched in that ballpark, he's familiar with the team, not necessarily the coaching staff yet, but to have that it makes you feel a little bit better as a fan. But also when you're looking at spring numbers, you're like, everything doesn't look great yet. And you got Ryan Walker, Eric Miller is getting healthy, and you got Lucchesi and you got Bivens. But other than that, other than those 4 guys in the bullpen, it's kind of like, I don't feel great right now.
And they expect Jason Foley to come back, but he's more going to be kind of like a summer guy. Obviously our guy, Randy Rodriguez, he's probably going to be out for the whole year. And then also, I think, who's it? Pagero got hurt. He hurt his hammy. And so he will be out for a few weeks. So probably not going to be ready for opening day. So yeah, the pitching, the bullpen all of a sudden just has some issues with the injury wise. Do you have what would be your perfect 5-man rotation coming out of camp and into the season?
I mean, my perfect 5-man would be the 5-man that we are hopefully set up for, and that's Webb, Ray, Roop, Hauser, and Malley. That would be the 5-man rotation. If we can come out with that, and those guys could last for a long time, midway through the season with no injuries, no missed starts, you're going to give the guys in the minors, Birdsong, Wisenhunt, all those guys, you're going to give them Tidwell. You're going to give them a chance to really hone their skills, get down to business, get some innings. So that would be my ideal 5-man. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, it's not anything great, but I like McDonald, but I think McDonald, I don't want to see him in the rotation because then that means we have an injury. That means we have something that didn't go right. I think he's going to be in the bullpen because he's going to earn his way onto the starting roster, opening day roster. I don't think in AAA, him pitching every day, and I don't know what that's going to do, but he'll be there and ready because you always get it. You're going to get, a day or two before a start or the day of the start. Some guys not going to be feeling good. Something's not going to be right. And McDonald's going to be right there to be able to fill in.
Yeah, I would like to see one of these other arms make it tough for Vitello.
Yeah.
I would like to see a Tidwell. I know he struggled the last, I think it was in his last appearance. Birdsong, hasn't been what we wanted him to be in spring training. Wisenhunt, he's figuring things out, I guess you could say. But yeah, nobody's really putting the pressure, it seems, to jump into that spot. And I kind of was hoping that somebody was.
If they put the pressure on, though, it would have to be the pressure on Roop because you can't, those 4 other guys, they're immovable, I think, because of Hauser and Malley. You signed those guys to be starters. So it would have to be Roop, but Roop's pitching awesome. So, yeah. I mean, it's a good problem. It's a good problem for sure. So, but yeah, the same. I would like to see one of those other guys because right now, other than Trevor McDonald, I don't see anybody else making it difficult for Roop and pushing Roop And you want that. You want the camp competition. You want a guy to go back down to AAA saying, I deserve to be there. I fought hard and I pitched really well in the spring, but we're just not seeing that right now.
Yeah. All right. What do you want to see from those outfield spots? Drew Gilbert's hurt, so you don't know what's going to happen with him. Matos, Encarnacion, Brennan, like what do you? And then Schmidt and Koss, like I don't know if they're going to keep both, or if they're only going to keep one. Like, what do you want to see from that scenario?
Yeah, so the outfield scenario, I do want to see Matos. The problem with Matos, and I keep talking about this with people on social media on Blue Sky because I'm on there. And I love to talk baseball on Blue Sky. So if you're on there, find me. It's Evans 5150, and we could talk some ball. What I keep saying about Matos is he's playing every day right now. So he looks great. That's Matos, right? When Matos plays every day, he looks great.
Yep.
If he makes the team, he's not playing every day unless there's an injury. But even then, it takes him a little bit to kind of warm up and get going. So that's a tough one. Encarnacion, he's got the power, he's got the mash ability, but he's also got a lot of strikeouts. So I don't know at this point. I do really like Grant McCray. I know there's a lot that's been written about him lately. He does have 6 walks this spring.
Went deep yesterday, I think.
Yeah, he went deep yesterday. 6 walks, 4 strikeouts. He's got the speed. He's got the power. Nice article written about him. That was Bags, right? I think. That he could easily be a 4th outfielder. But the problem is Matos and Encarnacion don't have options. So we're kind of stuck. That's the hard part is when you're talking, roster build, you have to factor in all of those, the option issues. But again, if you do want to go with Encarnacion, Matos has worked his way into a good spot for the trade market too, because if you can get him to a team that needs an everyday outfielder, he could thrive. He really could. And the Giants could get some return for him. So I think it benefits him that the WBC is happening and he's not playing on any of the WBC teams. He's showcasing himself. But yeah, I think I'd like to see Matos or McCray. I like the athleticism. I don't like having a big lumbering outfielder in Encarnacion with a lot of strikeouts, but massive power. But again, we still haven't seen the power. The Giants are being patient with him. And I think they probably want to see, well, what can he do when he's healthy and he's in there? But again, a bat off the bench, is he that type of guy? We don't know yet. So that's the problem. It's just too many questions with him, I think.
All right. Well, that'll be it. And when we come back next week, the World Baseball Classic will be the final, at least, will be in motion. And maybe if Team USA is in it, maybe we will try and come back the next day or maybe even that evening, because it'd be great to talk about that final game.
Yeah.
But all right. So, we are now 16 days out of opening day, which is insane.
Crazy.
And yeah, so we'll be back next week, but keep we will figure out the time. It's not going to be Monday. It'll be Tuesday. It'll either be Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll figure out kind of how the machinations is, but just check out the YouTube page. If you watch us on stream, check out the YouTube page, because we'll have that show sitting scheduled before we actually record it. And that's how you'll know when we go live. But podcast listeners are just like, if it's in my feed, it's in my feed. So.
This is true.
All right. So for Brad, I am Double G. See you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.